Greetings ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the recap. If you don't have time to play a game, want to relive it, or simply didn't understand it, then this is a show for you. A show where we uncover what the hell is going on and spoil the story in the process. So if you're okay with that, let's jump right in. Today we'll tackle Hotline Miami. This 2012 gem of a game set in 1980s Miami takes you on a trippy roller coaster and spits you out wanting more. So prepare yourselves. The game begins with you having a conversation with three masked men in this trip-ass room with moths flying all around. It's creepy and weird, so you naturally ask yourself, what the hell is going on? Is this even real? Is it a figment of your imagination? And if so, what do these characters represent? The horse-masked person is cautious, pointing out that maybe you shouldn't remember who you are. The rooster claims he knows you, asking you to remember where you met, while Mr. Owl here doesn't want to have anything to do with you at all. Horseface implies some heavy shit has been going down, and you remembering would mean accounting for your actions. Finally, the rooster questions you with a realistic event dating to April 3rd, 1989, after which you wake up in your apartment to an anonymous voice message about some random-ass cookies being delivered at your door. Naturally, you go check, only to find a box containing a letter and a rooster mask like the one you've been talking to. The letter contains instructions to pick up a briefcase and deliver it to a specific location. A threat to your life is also implied, so you don't fuck about and do it because they'll be watching. So now you arrive at the metro to find certain people in white suits hanging about. You put on the mask given to you and you assassinate them. It seems you're quite okay with murder and actually good at it. You obtain the briefcase and deliver it to the dumpster as instructed, but this hobo is having none of that. Unfortunately, still high on murder, you kill him. Maybe it was a bit too much for one night, so you backtrack those barbecue sausages you ate earlier and decorate the floor with them. On your way home, you stop by a convenience store where you are greeted by a man called simply Beard. Now it seems like this guy knows you well. He even expresses some serious concern about not seeing you for a while after the loss of your girlfriend. Anyway, he changes the subject and tells you to take anything on the house. Fast forward 5 days and you see some pamphlets on the table you supposedly subscribed to. They thank you for your interest in their cause and spew some concerning patriotic metaphor. You receive another voice message, this time blabbing about needing a babysitter to discipline some kids and again emphasizing discretion. Choiceless, you're on your way again. The procedure is the same except there is no delivery this time, only murder. You do what you have to. Before leaving the scene, you stumble on a strange symbol on the floor painted in blood. It's now etched in your mind. On your way home, you stop by a pizza parlor to shove some shit other than sausages down your throat. Oddly enough, there's Beard again behind the counter. Now you're starting to wonder, is he working a second job? Anyway, he tells you your pizza is already done because he had a feeling you'll be coming and tells you to leave it at that. Now either this guy has some serious telepathic powers and has chosen to use them to be the best damn waiter ever, or something's not right here. Again, he refuses any payment. Skipping some days again, you wake up on April 16th to receive a message from a supposed methadone clinic. Things are pretty clear at this point, so you comply. Upon arrival, you slash these motherfuckers up like butter to find yourself in front of an interesting sight. A person with a walrus mask tied to a chair being tortured. You do the only logical thing. You take the mask for yourself. On your way home, you realize it's a perfect evening to rent yourself a movie, so you take a detour to the VHS Palace. Beard is behind the counter. Well, no surprise there, I guess. Maybe he's working 3 jobs. Anyway, he pleasantly greets you and asks you have you heard about a recent massacre, implying the police went public with it. Important thing he also reveals is that the victims are Russian mobsters. He then gives you a movie he chose for you, On the House. Again. 9 days later, another phone call arrives saying it's Kate from the hotline service informing you of your date that evening. Standard procedure. You arrive at the destination and kill your way through the mobsters only to find this brutal gargantua blocking your way. This motherfucker takes 3 shotgun blasts before finally falling to his merciless eye-gouging fate. Anyway, you lurk around and stumble upon a room where a cracked up woman is being used and abused for a range of predatory and malicious activities. She says she knew it would end like this, seemingly in peace with her fate, but instead of putting a bullet to her skull, you decide to get her out of there. On your way home, you stop at a bar, completely disregarding the fact that you have a half-dead woman pumped full of drugs and God knows what else in your car. Naturally, Beard works as a barman. He asks you if you're alright because you look like shit and addresses you as sir as if he doesn't know you. He also cautions you not to drink, but you insist, so he makes you something special. You slam that shit in your body and head on home. We again find ourselves in this moth-ridden room, which is slightly filthier this time, correlating with your actions and madness that is surfacing. The rooster says he can see that you remember him now, but still don't know who he is or who introduced you. The owl asks why have you returned. He states that you're not a nice person and that he is sickened by you. Horseface here questions the accuracy of the events taking place, implying some pieces don't fit. It's becoming quite clear now that this room truly is your mind and some serious digging is going on. You're being torn apart by 3 voices. Horseface wants to keep things buried or forgotten, while the rooster is making you acknowledge your actions and yourself in whole. Mr. Owl is having none of it. This person is your prosecutor, judge, and jury. The rooster poses 4 questions for you to break your head over for some time. The first is, if you like to hurt other people. The second one, who is leaving messages on your answering machine? The third, where the hell are you? And the fourth, why are you having this conversation right now? You wake up in your apartment on May 5th and the girl you rescued is lying on the couch, getting her shit together. You have also collected a fair amount of newspaper clippings covering the recent murders you've been committing. The last one talks about the abduction of a woman by the masked murderer caught on security camera. The phone rings. Some Blake guy wants you to fix a power outage on a certain address. The interesting thing is, he also mentions they've already sent someone, but he did a lousy job. This correlates with the man you found in a walrus mask. You teleport your ass to the place, and after some bloodshed you find yourself in front of a room where a person is being interrogated. His ass is tripwired to the door, so naturally you shoot it and all the people inside get turned to non-proportional slabs of burnt meat. Once you're done, you head on back home, but not before stopping at a convenience store. By the entrance you see some mobsters beating a guy with a rubber horse mask. It's all quite weird. There's the old Beard that recognizes you behind the counter. He says he was worried about you, the streets don't seem safe with all the killings going on. He again mentions you don't have to pay because you're a friend. The person taking a beating is now dead with no one in sight. It's confusing who this is. Was it an innocent bystander in a mask or another assassin? Is the Russian mafia infuriated to the point where they'll kill anyone with a mask now? You don't seem to give much thought about it, so you jump in the car. 4 days later, we see the apartment is much cleaner than before, and the woman is now on her 2 feet, slowly coming to her senses. It's unclear whether she cleaned the apartment or you did because of her. Dave from Miami Pest Control calls about vermin issues, saying someone else will clean up after you leave, so you head on to the location. After some slicing and carving, you head on down to the sewers under the house, where you find another assassin dying in a puddle of his own blood. He insists that all this is just a bad dream before succumbing to his injuries. You find a crocodile mask next to him. Haha.
Motherfucker Jones.
It's named Jones, and it gives more gore. So it's the obvious choice from now on. On your way home, you again feel like pizza, so you reroute yourself to the parlor. Good old Beer greets you, but it seems like he doesn't know you. Again. He talks about these being hard times and not having many customers lately because maybe they've lost their taste for pizza and it's time to close shop for good. If this is not a metaphor, then it's the most unrealistic part of the game so far. Anyway, moving forward to May 13th, you have collected quite some newspaper clippings of the murders, which means the police is thoroughly on it. The article now fully confirms targeted people are Russian mafia, and the police denies the murders being orchestrated by a vigilante movement. On your way to the phone, we see the woman taking a bath, seemingly getting comfortable in your place. The voice message tells you to take care of some VIP guests down at Hotel Blue, so you're on it. As you navigate the staircase down to your car, you stumble upon a janitor in green overalls. He gives you a quick under-the-eyebrow grin but says absolutely nothing. After arriving at the hotel, you spray every living thing in there, including the guests sitting and eating. But hey, the message did instruct you to take care of the VIPs. On the upper floor, while being sneaky on the building ledge, you see another janitor in green overalls. He gives you the same grin, not seeming a bit worried that there's an armed masked assailant navigating the building ledge. It's movie night again, so you storm the VHS palace. Beard is quite worried at this point because his friend from the police confirmed the doubts he had about multiple assailants. Since you already encountered 4 of them who got themselves killed, this is not much news to you. Again, he tells you to grab any movie you want on the house. 10 days later, the newspaper clippings revealed the VIP guests you slaughtered were actually politicians, and their execution being a heavy blow on the Russo-American coalition. This is the first time we hear about the so-called coalition and the state of the world this story is taking place in. A lot of things fall into place now. Those 50 Blessings pamphlets on pure America also make sense now, but more on that later. You receive a message about some serious mess at some condos because of a burst water pipe. After you execute everyone in the building, the phone rings. You pick it up. The voice redirects you to another location where there's a quote-unquote prank caller who needs to be dealt with. This suggests something went wrong on their end. You comply and get your ass to a place called Phone Home. What you find in there is a grisly slaughter scene from hell. Employees butchered to pieces, heads and body parts all over the floors and walls. Upon entering the main control room, you're faced with a character wearing a biker helmet and wielding a butcher's cleaver. He tells you you're dead meat and starts chasing after you. Eventually you manage to crack him with the golf club and he falls to the floor. He mumbles that it can't end like this because he was so close, meaning he was after the people directing the messages. Adrenaline fueled, you split his head open and run back to your car. Well, I guess no answers will be given there. Desperate for a drink, you stop at a bar. Beard recognizes you, not as a friend but as the customer from the last time. He starts spewing some cryptic nonsense about something being in the air, about having a bad feeling like something terrible has happened tonight. He also mentions he hasn't felt like this since San Francisco. The events that took place in San Francisco play a major role in the story of the Hotline Miami, so remember it. We'll get back to it. The moth-infested room is now dirty as shit. The owl insists on you not returning here, and if his opinion doesn't matter to you, maybe he's the one who should leave. The rooster asks whether you've been thinking about the questions he posed because he cannot give you any answers. Horseface is pushy on you taking some rest because carrying too much weight can break anyone and lead to collapse of everything. The rooster says that the next time you meet will be the last. This insinuates you won't be listening to Horseface's advice of letting go and something will happen. Before you scram out of this corner of your mind, the rooster leaves you with 3 predictions. 1. Someone you know is not who you think he is. 2. Something will soon be taken from you. And 3. On July 21st you'll wake up in a bigger house. Cut to May 27th in your now pristine-looking apartment, where you receive another mission to clean up some club. You get your ass over there only to find a killer who was obviously sent before you lying on the floor with his entrails hanging all around. Next to him is a grasshopper mask that lets you start each level with a drill. Yes, a drill. And now you finally get to fulfill your dream of drilling everyone in this game.
Okay, so basically I have to finish every enemy off. I can't just kill him, right? Damn. Oh, come on, man. Oh, come on.
Now that you've uncovered the plan with the drill doesn't work and you've lost 5 hours of your life over nothing, you resort to your usual methods of murder and mayhem and move on. After you clear the whole place, shit gets even more fucked. You stop at a convenience store. As soon as you enter, you see Biker dying on the floor with half of his head demolished by a golf club. Beard quickly says he has something important to tell you, insisting this is not real. It did not actually happen. You don't quite believe him, so he says he'll demonstrate, and in a flash the body is gone, leaving confusion and memory lapse. Someone also spawned in the toilet, and we see that red symbol from before. Beard greets you again as if nothing just happened, and tells you to take anything on the house. Blasting off to May 31st, you wake up to your apartment actually being a cozy place to live, suggesting you're making a life together with the woman you saved. The phone rings. The message sends you to an open house showing. You drive downtown and clear the mobsters. However, the police raids the place with you barely making it out. This calls for pizza. In front of the parlor sits a seriously fucked up mobster petting his dog. They're both dead and obviously figment of your imagination. Once inside, you see a bald person behind the counter looking similar to the guy who was taking a piss in the convenience store. He's urging you to leave while his face is blood splattered. Lying on the floor next to him is Beard's corpse. Since Beard's existence is questionable in the first place, so is his death and what it represents. Moving on to June 3rd, another message, another job. At the destination, you find the corpse of another masked assailant and pick up his Cobra mask named Jake. Jake is important to the story, but we'll talk about him later. With all that's going on, it's movie night again, so you drop your ass at the VHS Palace. There's a reprise of what you saw at the pizza place. The bald guy behind the counter and Beard's body next to him. This time he tells you look familiar and asks if you have met somewhere before. You just leave the place without retorting. Rushing to June 8th, the beds in your apartment are pushed together. The relationship with the woman you rescued is obviously thriving. On top of that, you now also have visions of people you killed skulking around your apartment. Somewhat disregarding them, you go and pick up the phone. At the job site, a van bursts through the door, almost killing you. Russian mobsters start pouring out. There's even this motherfucker throwing Molotovs at you. For that, he gets violently murdered and set on fire. You need a drink after that. There are mobster corpses at the bar enjoying their drink, and the bald guy behind the counter again urging you to leave. You return home to a sight of your girlfriend brutally murdered on the bathroom floor. This is what the rooster meant when he said something will be taken from you. This also ties in on when Beard told you haven't been the same after the loss of your girlfriend. This finally confirms all this is hazy memory. In the living room, you encounter a masked killer sitting on your couch. He points the gun at you and shoots you in the head. As you fall to the floor, the rooster appears in the killer's place. He tells you that it's just you and him now, and that this is the last time you'll see each other. He also leaves you with the notion that nothing you do from now on will have any purpose, and things will not end well. He insists you will never see the whole picture, and that it's your own fault. At the end of the conversation, he points out that there's a warm bed waiting across the hall, insinuating you may finally rest. As you approach the bed, you see yourself lying in a coma, and things come full circle now. The whole story up to this point was you reliving the events through the role of an unreliable narrator, twisting certain events to your favor in order to cope with them. Since this is a mind-blowing revelation, the subconscious you literally tears his head open. Now before we move on with the story, I'd like to round up the inner voices, since we won't be seeing them anymore. The mask names are as follows: the horseface is Don Juan, the rooster Richard, and the owl Rasmus. Sum them up, Don Juan represents hope, Richard grounding, and Rasmus guilt. Although you are known only as Jacket in this game, it's highly indicative that your name is Richard, since the masks are usually named after their owners and the rooster mask is yours. The rooster also represents the real and grounded you in the dream. There are also theories that underneath Don Juan's mask is your girlfriend who is asking you to let go of the past and move on with your life, hence the female outfit Horseface has. Rasmus would be an amalgamation of all the people you've hurt and killed, and is respectively dressed in a white suit like the mobsters. Now we can move on. After getting shot in the head, you find yourself in a hospital. You hear a police officer screaming at the doctor to when will you finally wake up because you're a prime suspect in a major case. The doctor reveals you've been in coma for weeks and says he can't predict when you will come to your senses. He also mentions you haven't fully recovered from the surgery as well. The police officer reveals that the perpetrator who shot you and killed your girlfriend is in lockup at the station and that they need you to make the case because he's not talking. Also, take a look at this doctor's face. The guy has a kilo of cocaine stuck up his nostrils. His eyes are about to leave his body. On June 21st, you wake up. Remembering the police officer's words, you go full-on sneak mode in order to escape. It's kinda hard with your head being a mess mentally and physically. Once out, you head on back home only to find your car completely vandalized along with the apartment. There are police tapes on the entrance, and that red sign you keep seeing all around is painted on the floor. A body is chalked out on the bathroom floor where your girlfriend lied. You take some clothes and head on down to the police station where the assailant is being held. Now I gotta say, charging a fully armed and alert police station is a pretty ballsy move unless you're a Terminator. So after you effectively send the whole lower level to hell, Brickface Mustache here is prepared for the worst, which he should be. Now that the whole station has become splatter art, you look for the keys to the holding cell. Along with them you find a mask named Richter telling you the name of your assassin. Upon entering the cell, you realize Richter is the bald man you've been seeing in your visions. He's completely stoked to see you here. He immediately starts fearing for his life and tells you the hit on your girl and you was nothing personal. He also claims he doesn't have any answers for you, which leads you to demolishing his jaw. He falls to the floor and asks whether you were also getting the voice messages, and that the police might know more about the mess than both of you. He understands how this will end and accepts his fate, so you choke him out. Back in the room with the evidence, you find some case files which indicate the calls are being traced to a club tied with Russian mafia. At this point, this is a bit odd, because the Russian mafia are mainly the target of the callers. However, Richard did say you'll never see the whole picture, and what you do from now on serves no purpose. You drive to the address mentioned in the report and start hacking your way to the club's manager. After an unsuccessful bribe attempt, he shits his pants and just gives up the owner's address in vague attempt to save his life, but you deface him with your fists. Finally, you're face to face with the mob leader. For your successful endeavor of making it all the way in front of him, he rightfully assumes you are the one ransacking his ranks. Since he's a man of experience and action and can read you like an open book, he gets down to the point, unleashing two panthers on you. After putting them down, his henchman-ass Blondie decides to test her katana sharpness on you, but is soon met with some head-splattering action. The boss is impressed with your murder skills and wonders what gave you such thirst for blood. He also says he wishes to see who is hiding behind the mask before turning to his firearms to finish you off. This further proves he's not the one behind your assassination attempt and that it wasn't a retaliation for the killings. Luckily, you disarm him with Blondie's shurikens. Like I said, this guy is a man of character and wants to spare you the pleasure of killing him, so he pulls out a backup gun and blows his brains out. Suddenly the phone rings and you pick it up. The voice is complaining about the ruckus downstairs because he's trying to sleep. You realize you're not alone, so you grab the gun and head up. You find yourself in front of an old man in a wheelchair. I guess this is the true boss of the organization, but is just too old to be handling things, so the guy you just killed took over. He also concludes you're the one devastating the Russian mafia and asks what is it you want. Without giving you a chance to say anything, he continues about doing so many horrible things in life that nothing really matters anymore. He urges you to do what you came here for. You raise your weapon and put a bullet in his forehead. You exit to the balcony, take off your mask and light a cigarette. it's done. You take a picture out of your pocket, take one last long look at it and throw it over the balcony, watching the wind carry it far away. Now, let's rewind back a bit to May 13th. The biker dude is interrogating some poor sod who apparently got him into this whole voice message murder spree. The biker says it's not fun anymore and that he wants out, meaning he was also one of the murderers for the same organization. The guy finally breaks and tells biker to seek out a person hiding in the Blue Dragon restaurant downtown, but warns him about the severity of the consequences. Upon arrival, the biker encounters a mob infestation at the restaurant. Luckily, they are no match for his beloved butcher's cleaver, which apparently he uses so expertly that he cuts people in half in one motion. His target doesn't seem to know much about it all, but clinging to his existence, he lets the biker in on the only thing he knows. The organization is using Phone Home to sweep their call trails. This motherfucker helped them set it up and went into hiding immediately after. He also mentions they have a political agenda and that they are not messing around. The biker decides to spare his life and leaves. On May 16th, the biker is in his apartment looking at those same 50 blessings pamphlets you had. The phone rings. The caller warns him about a missed delivery and that further non-compliance will not be tolerated. The biker obviously failed a mission while pursuing his own goals of getting out. While continuing his investigation, he complies and proceeds to read the location of Russian mobsters. On May 23rd, the biker wakes after some serious partying. He checks the answering machine and sure enough, another message is presented. But it's time. He ignores the message and heads over to Phone Home, a place where he could finally get some answers. He jumps on his bike and arrives at Phone Home. Once inside, he sees unarmed workers who are scared shitless. Like a true cleaver-wielding maniac, he slices through them like butter, painting the whole place red. His thirst for blood is not quite quenched yet, so he savagely strikes everyone on the upper floor as well. Finally, he is facing the main terminal. The overseer pleads for his life but receives no emotion whatsoever. He gets gutted like a fish. The biker enters the terminal and finds an address that could be the possible orchestrator's hideout. At that moment, a familiar scene unfolds. You enter to kill him. The biker warns you to leave if you don't want to die, which is different from your recollection of events where he straight up tries to kill you. Now the odds are in biker's favor, and he demolishes you, further proving your comatose memory in which you killed him was flawed. This is where things come full circle. The biker was your target because he failed a mission and became a liability, and you became Richter's target because you failed to kill biker and became a liability yourself. On May 24th, the biker receives a message implying he will be killed real soon, so he sets off to the address he dug up in Phone Home, ready to have some answers. Upon arrival, he spots a janitor in green overalls running deeper into the house. After chasing him, he stumbles on a password-protected terminal. With a bit of hacking skill, he manages to crack it and retrieve the info he needs. He then spots wires leading down a sewer shaft, so he proceeds to descend under the house where he is met with those two green overall janitors you saw through the game on a couple of occasions. The room is packed with telephones, blueprints, boxes of animal masks, and wires leading everywhere. The janitors immediately assume the biker is the man who infiltrated Phone Home last night. As much as they think they're covert, the biker tells them he cracked the terminal and the cat's out of the bag. Here's where the whole thing unveils. These two fake janitors are just the tip of the iceberg. They're a couple of members of 50 Blessings who volunteered to conduct the experiment of threatening people into doing these killings, which to their own surprise went pretty well. The reason the police tracked those calls to that Russian club is because Phone Home was used to redirect the calls as if they were coming from there, covering the organization's tracks and creating a complete confusion. 50 Blessings' main goal is to topple the Russo-American coalition, and these killings are just the first step. They also claim to be patriots, not nationalists, and that they have powerful people on their side, probably hinting at politicians and higher up. Also, the red symbol you have been seeing throughout the game is actually theirs, not the mafia's. The biker has had enough of this madness and uses his proficient butchering skills on the janitors. In fear for his life, he sits on the bike and leaves town. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, Hotline Miami. Is the picture clear now? Of course not. No real answers were given, like, why were you chosen? Why are you so proficient at murder? Why were you satisfied with taking out the mafia boss when he clearly wasn't behind it? Why is Beard important? Who is Jake? Who is the biker? What is the Russo-American Coalition? Why was it founded? What was the picture you threw from the balcony? Well, in order to get those answers, you have to play Hotline Miami 2. So stay tuned for the next episode where things unveil themselves into an incomprehensible, larger-than-life mess. Thank you. Subscribe to our channel.